my screen. Before I do that, I want to say big thank you again, Amy and everyone for joining us here today. So my name is Patrick Fuserini. I am with the k-ecommerce team, and k-ecommerce focuses on business-to-business e-commerce, specifically designed for Business Central. And so that means we integrate to all the necessary fields that you have in BC in order to properly run an online store easily and effectively and not worry about, duplication of data, as everybody else is going to be talking about something similar. So with that said, I'll go ahead and share my screen. You should see it now. I believe you do. There we go. So just going to move the control panel. So as we said, this is a business-to-business e-commerce platform. It also operates for direct-to-consumer, which is great. But today's focus, as I said, is going to be primarily B2B with a bit of business-to-consumer. The demo store that you see here is obviously a test store that I'm operating on. So this is an audio and office supply organization that sells directly to offices and companies in order to fill the office with any tools that they might need. And so in a very business to business way, at this point in time, if I'm visiting the site and I, let's say I want to buy some desk chairs, you'll see that I have the option to view some of the items on the website, but I can't see anything else. I can't see pricing. I can't actually purchase anything. And that is specifically designed by our system and configured in a way so that only, we'll say, registered customers or people who have signed in have access to see and buy on the system. Now that's a configuration or a setup. So if you're the type of business that also wants to sell to the public, well, then very easily you can turn it on so that just about anybody can buy on the site, like you would shop online anywhere. But we've decided to set this up in a way that's B2B focused, and so it's only customers that are signed in that have access to see and purchase these goods. So you'll see that the items are there, but I can't actually buy them. To further this point, we can also go a little bit deeper into the B2B aspects, which means that I can decide which customers actually have access to buy each of these items. So that when one customer logs in, maybe they'll only see this red chair, whereas when a different customer logs in, maybe they'll see all the options that you have here. So depending on who that customer is, we have the ability to personalize what they see online, all in the aspect of getting the customer to buy what they're supposed to be buying online. So since we can't really proceed, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And when I do so, I'm prompted to put my username and password, of course, and sign in. And when I do so, you'll notice a few different things. First and foremost, we're greeted with the dashboard page. And this page is specifically set up for anybody who wants to view their information. So right when I log in, I have access to see the latest orders placed under my account. And I can see the status of those orders, right? Some of them are shipped, some of them are pending. So I can dive into those orders to see further information on them. Of course, we see other details like, the total of the order and very importantly, reference numbers here. What I want to point out on this particular screen is that these orders that you see, and in fact, I can go deeper into the order history as a whole, but these orders do not just represent orders placed through the website. This can be any and all orders that exist in the system, right? So if I called in and you created a sales order for me, manually in BC or any other way, they will all be visible here for my viewing. So it becomes a little bit of a self-service portal rather than just a tool for ordering. And of course, I can go deeper into the order history as I alluded to earlier. And if I search by period and search for all, you can see pretty much any order that exists on file here. And obviously, if I open one of these up, you'll see the ones, you'll see the details on them. Now, if I go back, the other component on the dashboard page that's very important to talk about are the items that are frequently ordered. So frequently ordered products by me. And so this means that I'm showing a list here of the items that I buy on a regular basis. It's tailored to to my purchasing habits. And so that means that at any point in time, if I sign in, I don't necessarily need to, click on products, menus, search for the items I'm looking for. I can see them in my list here because I buy them all the time. And I can just add those items to the cart pretty effectively. So a great tool for returning customers. Another component that I did not mention is that if I do jump into the order details of a specific order, I'll always have the option to order again. A very important tool for those returning customers that buy pretty much the same thing all the time. They just need to be in and out pretty rapidly. Well, this is a great tool for them because it allows them to order the exact same items once again, verifying that we're using today's price, of course, and today's availability, so inventory levels. But let's say I want to find something new. So I'll go into, let's say, category and search for something. Just as easily, I could have searched by keyword here at the top. But when I get to my results, you'll see those same items that we saw prior. However, now that I'm signed in, we see the price, we see the quantity that's available, and of course, we see the ability to add these items to the cart. So the minute that I've logged in, our system knows which customer has logged in, and we're showing them the appropriate information. If one customer has special pricing in Business Central, well, that price is going to show on the screen, not the generic price. And so each and every customer potentially can have a unique and personalized experience, as I said before. Of course, there are filters and other tools that you would expect in today's day and age from an e-commerce platform, and it works extremely well on a mobile device. It's actually designed with a mobile-first approach. So opening up any one of these items will essentially give me the product details page. The reason I do this is because you can see that it's pretty simplistic at this point in time, right? I've got my title, I've got my image, my singular image, and the product code and other detail all coming from Business Central, which we'll see in a minute. But importantly here, let's say I wanted to add more detail here. It's kind of bare bones. And that's because the information that we're grabbing from Business Central is designed for the company to run. But online, we might want to add some marketing information, some, extra piece of learning material, maybe a downloadable PDF, all in the name of making this easy for our customers to purchase without having to reach out to anybody. So with that frame of mind, if ever you wanted to add, long descriptions, if you wanted to add additional images, or if you wanted to add just, downloadable files and so on and so forth, you can do all of this kind of stuff through the system pretty effectively. And just as we said before, we can add any number of items to our cart, which appears here, as you can see. Now, there's one more tool that I did want to go over just before we go to the checkout page. And this one is what we call the quick order tool. I'll actually access it through my account to give you a look at that page as well. So on my account settings, I've got all of my options, and the quick order tool is the one that stands out to me right now. So we see here what we call the Order Express, or essentially it's a view of our shopping cart in this sort of, line by line grid. And the goal of this tool is to make it easy for me to purchase many items without having to ever leave this screen. So that means if I know the code of the item I'm looking to buy, I can just, enter the code, enter the quantity, and be on my way. If I don't know the code, which is probably more common, I can open up a search panel, which will bring the results here for anything that I might be searching for. Let's say I search for chair. Well, you see those same items pop up here. And then we'll add one of those to the cart. So there you go. And you can keep going in this fashion. Might I add that in a manufacturing context, it might be good to note that barcode scanners are also usable within this tool. So it's very easy for me to walk around my shop and just scan all of the items that I'm low on inventory in, and that way it just populates as we go. But the real strength of this tool, and if I empty the cart, you'll get to see it, comes in the form of, maybe a long list that I used to email a sales rep in the past. Maybe it looked like this, maybe it didn't. Maybe it was a spreadsheet. Maybe it was just an email. Maybe it was even me calling you over the phone and one by one going item by item. In this new context, we can very easily just create a list like this and copy the two columns that you see here, item code and quantity. And by doing that, all I have to do is paste those cells in, and you're going to see within a few seconds, all those items are in the cart. Specifically designed for B2B users. It's quick, it's efficient. If you have sales orders that are 10, 20, 30 line items long, this is a key tool to make sure that everything operates effectively. Again, most importantly, that integration with BC. All that core data is coming from there. If items are not available and we can't order them on back order, of course, those are flagged and signaled, letting them know that it's the case. Pricing is always reflected, and of course, the items too. With that said, I can proceed to the checkout. And when I do so, I'm going to be brought to the checkout page, which is pretty straightforward in terms of its approach. Taking a second to load here. Checking my internet as we go. We're all good. I see the place your order page where you get to see your billing information, of course, as the customer's account in BC follows, and shipping information where I can put new addresses on the fly, ship to new locations, pick from a pre-existing list or addresses from the past. And it's not set up here, but I can also do pick up in store, right? So if you're offering the ability for somebody to pick up at a select warehouse or place, you can designate those as options as well, where customers can show up at the time and dates that you've designated in order to pick up their goods. Outside of that, when it comes to shipping methods themselves, of course, we integrate to a number of carriers, USPS, UPS, Purolator, FedEx, Canada Post, and so on. So some of the bigger names. And of course, we're essentially going to get the real-time pricing that they would give us into the system and display it, here based on those results. Important to note here, and when it comes to shipping methods, is that these are on a per customer basis. So I can actually offer different shipping methods to different individuals depending on who they are. Maybe some qualify for LTL, maybe some qualify for freight, and so on, all depending on what who they are as a customer. Well, those options might make themselves available. And then we get to review the order where, if taxes need to be calculated, we can calculate those based on the tax tables in Business Central up to a state level. We always like to suggest that if ever you have in-depth tax calculations or sell to certain states, we work extremely well with Avalara and have been working with them for years. So always a good plus there. And finally, most importantly, payment information. When it comes to paying online, a key component to all of this is the fact that B2B buyers often bill on account, right? They pay after. And so with that frame of mind, we can very easily set up an on-account payment method where essentially the customer defers payment to a later date. All they have to do is confirm the order and be on their way. You bill them on your normal invoicing cycle. If you do want to capture payment up front, which makes loads of sense, especially in certain contexts, you can accept credit cards online. You can also accept ACH or EFT transactions for our Canadians. Credit cards are always tokenized and handled in the most secure way possible because our system is fully PCI Level 1 certified. So people can have the peace of mind of putting their credit card information in, knowing that. For today, I'm just going to bill on account and be on my way. And when I do so, last piece that's important to note is that on the payment method side, just like shipping methods and products, payments can be on a per customer basis, right? So someone that qualifies for on account will see that option, whereas somebody that can only pay by credit card will be forced to use credit card as payment. So it all depends. Now, a lot's going on in the background here. That order has been created in BC, should be sitting there within a few seconds, and you can tend to it as you would tend to any other order coming in from any sales channel. Emails are sent out not only to the merchant, but also to the customer, thanking them for their order, and they can continue on. So if I open up this order here, you're going to see the Business Central order number that we're going to search for after. So it appeared in the system. And before I move to BC, I'll take a quick second to note that we also have an invoice payment section for anybody who has billed on account and needs to pay their bill after their net 30, right? So those B2B customers that don't pay up front, we have a tool for them to see their open invoices that have been not yet been paid and essentially select through them and pay them online pretty quickly, pretty efficiently. What's great about this is that it automatically creates the cash receipt in BC. And just like sales orders, essentially there's everything is all done and properly sent to Business Central so that you can tend to it as you need. That's what I wanted to say about the online piece. To finish today off, I'm going to go into Business Central and actually search for that order that we just created to show you just how quick and efficient it is. So I'm refreshing BC here. Hopefully it'll be loading soon. There we go. And as I said, if I go to the sales orders section of Business Central, you'll see all of my sales orders in line here, but scrolling down to the last one in line, that's that order number that we created, 102238. Let me just double check that that was the one. Yes, it was. So we see it there. And what I want to point out here is that it's not anything different from what you're used to. We're not adding new tables or fields or anything of that nature. It's using the standard Business Central functionality in order to operate your e-commerce platform. So you see this order, you open it up, and you pick, pack, and ship it out. You do what you normally do because all of the information, as you can see here, is listed. Customer info, dates, contact information, the items that were purchased, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. So very effective, very quick. It's business to business focused. However, we do, of course, do direct to consumer. Both options are totally available. Ideally, our customers are manufacturers, distributors, wholesalers, often in the food and beverage space, and retail space, and many others. So, with that said, I'll pass it back to you, Amy, and take a second to thank you once again for having us here today.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Yes, so if you need a web front, this is your go-to.